Today we got a special guest, Josiah Igono. He was once my strength coach and now a good friend of mine, and he's making a big impact in the world, in the sports world, and so I thought it'd be appropriate to bring him here today, and we'll talk and I'll ask him some questions, and then at the end of today, feel free to have a Q&A with him. If you want any questions answered, that would be a good time to ask them. So I'm going to open us in prayer, and then we'll begin today's interview. So Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today in this class time where we get to hear from Josiah and all the insights, Lord, that you've given him, the mindset you've given him to help those athletes that want to get to the next level, Lord. So we pray that you use this time, Lord, speak through us, and we love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Appreciate you.
All right. So like I said, I met Josiah over a decade ago. And he was this high energy guy at GCU in the weight room that was getting us going every morning, 6 a.m. workouts we had as a baseball program. And so that's a little bit of my background, but Josiah, if you could give us some context from your background, who you are, where you come from, and how you got here today.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. You guys awake yet? Yes, sir. All right. So my parents always taught me, hey, when you see somebody in the morning, you always say good morning. So good morning to you. Just a little bit about my background. I grew up on the south side of Phoenix, 48th Street in Southern. Went to Tempe High School. Was blessed with the opportunity to play football at Arizona State for my first 3 years. Go Devils. Transferred to NAU for my last year. And when I finished playing ball, I knew that I was always going to work with athletes. I always knew I was going to work with athletes. And my mission statement became that I wanted to challenge athletes mentally. I wanted to encourage them spiritually, and I wanted to train them physically. And I've been a chaplain, I've been a strength coach, I've been a psychology practitioner, and I still do that. After college, after I played ball in college, tried to go, play at the next level like every other, college kid. And then when I came back, I started getting my feet wet, in the world of athletics. I was a strength and conditioning coach at Grand Canyon University for 2 years. We helped that team. It's kind of weird because if you see like ACU where ACU is right now, ACU is kind of following that similar path that GCU did. So GCU was a Division II university, and we helped. I was part of that transition for GCU going from D2 to D1. After that, I worked for the Texas Rangers. I was there for almost 10 years. I was a strength coach there for the Texas Rangers for 3. I was a peak performance coordinator for 3, which is basically our director of mental performance on the minor league side. And on the major league side, I was an executive. I was on the big leagues. I was in the big leagues, directing the department from the big leagues on down to Dominican Republic. So I love athletics, man. This is the language that I speak. This is my heartbeat. This is what's real to me. This is what I breathe. Like, I love this stuff. Like, how do you get somebody bigger, faster, stronger? How do you get somebody to understand something quicker? And how do you create impact? I love that. And this is what I do. And it's been really cool to see this guy from a little college athlete, just like you guys were several years ago, to make the big strides that he's done and making impact in the community, both locally and outside of Phoenix, Arizona. So I'm blessed to be here today, just to share time. Please, when we open this thing up for questions, ask me any questions you want. I was just like you all. I was an athlete. Everybody's in here is an athlete, right? Pretty much almost everyone in here is an athlete or has an athletic background. I was just like you. I'm just like you, all right? And this vehicle of athletics, you can use it in so many ways to make impact, to provide for your family, to impact the world of sports. And so this is what it's all about right here. So,
yeah, we got some goodies here too. So like, if you guys ask a good question, that may be a reason to give them some prizes.
Hey, real quick, let's warm the room up real quick. Let's warm the room up, because I know some of y'all just had the morning coffee. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all just had the morning coffee. I see my guy here is that the Starbucks? You got the Starbucks right there?
Here you go.
Already pounding the sugar. You know what I'm saying? I see you working. Whatever you got to do to make sure you on your game. I feel you. I got a little trivia question. Walmart. Anybody ever been to Walmart before? Yeah? Okay. What is Walmart? This is a trivia question. What is Walmart's most sold item? First person, spit it out, whatever. Don't raise your hands, say it. What's Walmart's most,
No.
Ooh, we're getting close. What's your name? Madden? Ben. We're getting close, Ben.
Toilet paper?
Oh.
Water bottles?
Water bottles. You guys are so nice. Water bottles? Hey, let's go. Let's go. What is Walmart's most sold item? Let's go. We're getting close. The milk, though. Eggs? Who said eggs? Getting warm. Getting warm.
Bread.
Bread. Oh, I like y'all in the grocery section. I like that. You guys are close.
Hot Cheetos.
Oh, and you know Cheetos got a 7-year shelf life. Come on, Megan. That's my videographer, Megan. She's dope. She works with a bunch of NFL football players, collegiate athletes. She's big time. So, so no hot Cheetos. Who else? What is Walmart's most sold item?
Chicken?
I'm gonna give you a hint. Somebody said milk. Milk is a perishable item. Let's stay in that vein.
Ground beef.
Ooh, hey, some of that ground beef can last for Anybody?
Ice cream.
Ooh. What's perishable? What's a perishable item? What goes bad quick?
Cheese.
Yeah. Come on.
We need help.
Huh? You're close, bro. What's your name?
Jalen.
Jalen walked in here 30 seconds ago, and he's already real hot. Walmart's most perishable item.
A vegetable then?
No, you do. Stay on the fruit trail, bro. Stay on the fruit trail. Huh?
Bananas.
Who said bananas? What's your name?
Spencer.
Spencer. Give it up for Spencer. Give it up for Spencer. Give it up for Spencer. Hey, here you go. That's for Spencer right there. That's for Spencer right there. Yeah. Hey, what is the most common color of vehicle? Who said white? What's your name?
Malia.
Hey, give it up for Malia right now! Hey, I'm gonna walk this one back to you, Malia. I'm gonna walk this one back to you. Huh? Malia did not raise her hand. She said white. She's right. All right. So we'll have fun like that. But go ahead, man.
Cool.
Go ahead.
All right, good stuff. That's the Josiah I know, back in the day. So I love it. So Josiah, you wrote this book, Own the Pieces: The Heartfelt Guide to Mental Performance. Looks like you also got a book signing coming up. So
Yeah, I'll get that.
we're
out
all
there,
invited
buddy.
to that. Could you talk about what this book is, where it came from, the message behind it?
Yeah, so this book, Own the Pieces, basically this book is about mental performance, right? So how many of you guys like sports psychology real quick? Just real quick, sports psychology, right? One of the reasons why I love psychology is because it attempts to tell us why people do certain things in certain situations, right? Why does a kid from nowhere America get onto the big leagues and onto a big stage and absolutely shine? Whereas a first round draft pick, kid who's been coddled all his life, going to all the tournaments, mom and dad had everything, he gets or she gets into a big league situation or a big stage situation and they crumble. Why does that happen? And so one of the things that I've did is I've tried to distill for the last 20 years things that I've seen in the world of athletics with athletes. Things like confidence, things like focus, things like perfectionism. How do you deal with that? What are some tools to help you to be able to perform in high-level situations? And it's written in such a way that I quite literally have big league athletes reading this and 13-year-old elite athletes reading this. It's very simple to understand, very easy to digest, and it gives you a real nice introduction to sport and performance psychology. So that's the history, and that's the reason why I wrote that book.
Yeah, and that brings me to my next question is, so now that you are, you hung up the cleats, you got into some strength and performance coaching, now you're your own business owner, correct?
Yeah.
And the progression there, how did you find this niche? And we'll talk on niche a little bit here. What your niche is and the importance of niche in the marketplace.
That's a good question. Some of you in here are trying to figure it out. I'll probably assume that the majority of you in here are trying to figure things out. Like, what am I going to do professionally, right? So I had a mentor, Mark Uyama, one of the smartest dudes I've ever known. And when I was a strength coach, he told me something very powerful. He said, Joe, you can't just be a strength coach, dude. You can't just be a strength coach because there's thousands of those, right? Millions. You have to be, not only do you have to have that base and say, okay, I'm doing strength conditioning, I'm doing athletic training, I'm going to be an athletic director, whatever your pursuits are, but you have to couple that with something else. And that something else, when you marry those two together or those three together, you're going to find a niche. That's how you find the niche, right? Because anybody in here can say, oh, I want to be a soccer coach in college. Anybody in here can say that. Guess what? There's tens of thousands of you out there. But what else do you have? I'm a firm believer that God has given each one of you gifts, talents, and abilities that no one else has in succession, in conjunction, in sequence that you have. And it is our responsibility, it is your responsibility to figure out what that is. For me, I love strength conditioning, right? God also gave me this ability to be able to speak Spanish and to be able to speak and to be able to talk about the brain and the mind, right? And psychology. That was my niche. I went to a Boys and Girls Club in Guadalupe, Arizona. Anybody know where Guadalupe is? Anybody in here? A couple of you? Okay. Primarily Yaqui, Native American, and Mexican. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm not Mexican and I'm not Native American. I am Nigerian. I am a black male. Okay? I don't know if y'all could tell. You know what I'm saying? And my brother and I were the only two black kids on the south side going to Guadalupe for Boys and Girls Club. And when I was surrounded by my friends that spoke Spanish, all I wanted to do was speak Spanish. Hey man, just tell me the bad words. That's all I wanted to know. How do you say, How do you say that? You know what I'm saying? How many, ¿cuántos por aquí hablan español? ¿Cuántos por aquí hablan español? Levanta tu mano. Uno. No tenía ninguna idea. No tenía ninguna idea que Dios me perdió ese regalo. I had no idea that God was going to give me that gift that several years later I'd be using to break down the squat, to break down psychology to big league players that their native language was Spanish, and they chose to speak in Spanish to me even though they spoke perfect English. I'm going to say that again. I had no idea that this little kid from the South Side, me, I would be speaking in Spanish to Spanish-speaking professional athletes that spoke perfect English, and they chose to speak to me in Spanish. I was a clown in school. In Spanish class, I was a clown. What's your name, man? Cam? That's my guy right there. You know why? Because that's where I would sit in class. I'd be back there. I hated sitting in the front. I'd be back there clowning with my boys. In every class, I'd be back there clowning. That was me back there. I wanted to see everybody. Nobody behind me. I got to college, same thing. I would be back there clowning. And then my Spanish teacher, I was getting a D at midterms, right? And you know me, I was just like, hey, señora, ¿qué onda? I get a D, what's up? What's up? Dude, she looked at me, she said, every day you come into my class, you screw around with your little teammates in the back. From now on, you're gonna sit in the front. I said, okay. Right? Did my work, didn't dial it in. Ended up getting, I think, a B in that class. And after I as I was getting ready to graduate, she looked at me, she said, you have a gift. You need to continue speaking Spanish. Don't mess around, don't mess up the gift, keep going. And I listened to that advice. So when it comes time to find your niche, and when she told me that, I had no idea that I was gonna be working in baseball. I'm a football guy. I played football. How many football players in here? Any football players? A couple? I was defensive back. I used to clown on baseball players. How many baseball players are in here? I can tell the baseball players. I can tell. Baseball players have a certain swag about them. I've been around them too long, dog. I can spout a baseball player from a mile away. We'll be out eating with the family, and we'll see players come in, and I'll tell my wife, yep, here comes some baseball players, ordering some Chipotle. Here they are. You know what I'm saying? Baseball players got a certain swag about them, you know? And I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you this because you have to find out what your niche is, your niche. I don't know if you guys say niche. Find it. Find it. Okay? Because there's millions of people out there competing for the same jobs you're trying to.
Perfect. Good answer. Let's go on to what do you think is the greatest investment you can make as a student athlete today? What's one of the greatest investments that they can make sitting here today to start and launch into their career?
Continuing education. The greatest investment that you can ever make in yourself is to invest in your education. Period, full stop. And when I say education, I'm not talking about ACU. I'm not talking about that. This is part of it. But the greatest investment that you can make is to go out and be educated. There are so many classes online. There's so many tutorials. There are so many courses. There's so many things that you can do. And when you start to invest in the business of yourself, you become a better asset to any organization, any team that you're going to find yourself on. Period, full stop. Right now, millennials, I think by 2025, 2030, are going to be 75% of the workplace in terms of leadership and just presence. Okay, then you have Gen Z, then you have Gen Alpha. And what's happening with all of those generations is that they are finding that, guess what? Their employers are not providing them opportunities to invest in themselves through continuing education. Right now, dude, we're past the information age, dude. We're past that. We're past that. There's so much information out there. I'm a college professor myself. I teach at the University of Texas Permian Basin in the UT school system. And I see like students submit stuff, and I'm just like, I think AI wrote that one, buddy. I think AI wrote that one because I've seen you on camera when we do the little camera things. I know how you talk on camera, and you sound like Shakespeare right here, buddy. You know what I mean? I might have been born that night, but I wasn't born last night. You know what I'm saying? And so what I'm trying to say is that you guys have to invest. You have to really invest in your education and go and learn from people. Go and learn how to do things, right? Become the who in your industry. And when you do that, it will never, ever go south for you.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. As far as the marketplace is concerned and their careers, let's talk a little bit about credibility and their name. And where does credibility come from? And how do you boost that up?
When you guys, when you start looking at the world of sports, there are going to be eyes on you from day one. Okay? Some of you in here are going to aspire. How many of you aspire to be a professional athlete? Raise your hand. Don't be shy, just raise your hand. Okay. How many of you aspire to be an executive in professional sports or high-level collegiate sports? Raise your hand. A couple of you, okay? How many of you want to coach at the next level? Okay, so that's pretty much everybody has answered one or more of those questions. Guess what, guys? Everybody has a reputation. Everyone has a reputation, right? And one of the things that is going to happen is that you are going to develop a name. You are going to be trustworthy or you're not. Tony Dungy said, hey, listen, there are no levels, right, to integrity. There are no levels to integrity. Either you have it or you do not. Are you a man? Are you a woman who follows up and follows through? Because that's going to be a separator, right? In this advent of technology and how things get buried with technology, notifications, emails, text message, social media, it's really easy to forget about stuff. And just being able to follow up and follow through is going to separate you from everyone. Are you somebody who likes to gossip, right? Are you a gossiper? Are you sarcastic? Do you love telling everybody's business? I'm gonna tell you right now, if you want to work with professional athletes and you have a loud mouth, you blab a lot, you will not last long. And the only way you will last is if you become a snake. And snakes get found out too. I'm telling you from experience. I've been in the clubhouses, I've been in the locker rooms, I've been in the coaches' meetings, I've been in the player meetings. Okay? If you want to establish yourself, you need to be somebody who's credible, who says what they're going to do, who's professional. If somebody comes at you with personal information, it stops here. Because guess what? If you start talking, people are going to find you out real quick. I get calls every year from young professionals who want to do sport and performance psychology, and this is a point that I'm very hard on them on. If you do not know how to control this, if you are not professional in your decorum, in the way you present, in the way you talk, in the way that you manage information, sports management, right? You will not last. This is something that's very important, especially in this day and age. So as far as credibility, those are some things that need to happen. You need to make sure you invest in yourself. Guess what? Degrees aren't everything, right? Degrees aren't everything, but they're important. Degrees open the doors. They open doors. I'm going to be very, can I be transparent with you guys real quick? Can I? No? Okay, I won't be transparent. Huh?
Yes.
Okay. When I had that mission statement about my life, one of the things I started doing was I would be in rooms like this, right? In rooms with other professionals. And in those rooms, there were not a lot of people that looked like me. There just wasn't. Not only was I young, but I was not of the majority. I was a minority. I was a black male in a predominantly white industry, right? And a lot of people, why am I bringing that up? Because a lot of people didn't respect me. Or they were just like, who's this guy? Who's this dude? That was what I was getting. Who is this guy, right? But then when I started speaking Spanish, then when I started breaking down concepts on the board, when I started like sharing with them and talking with them, they're like, oh my gosh, right? And I'm telling you that because people are going to doubt you when you come through the pipeline. They're going to doubt you, right? And the thing that's going to hold you and the thing that's going to keep you is your faith, hope, trust, reliance on God, number one, right? And then your training, your background, right? And so when I got into these rooms, I was just like, yo, man, I kind of like working with athletes. I kind of like this thing, but I need to be credible. So that's why I went back and got my degrees. Dude, I was a college strength coach when I was coaching this guy right here. I didn't even have a master's degree. Because when I was 22 years old and I graduated from college, I was like, yo, dude, I'm done. I'm done with school. That was my mentality. And then when I got into the rooms, I was like, yo, everybody in here has degrees, certifications, qualifications, affiliations. I was like, yo, okay, I know the game. And that's why I went back to school and got my master's, got my PhD. These are the kind of things that build credibility. So now people, oh, this was a PhD, so he might know what he's talking about. Dude, the PhD doesn't make me who I am. God made me who I am before I got the PhD. This game don't love you. This game doesn't love me. We're not, the game that you guys play and that you're going to work in, it doesn't give you value. Let me just tell you that right now. You are the ones who give your respective sports value. You are the ones who give your respective teams value. You are the one as a wrestler that gives the sport of wrestling value. As a basketball player, you are the one that gives your team value. It's never the other way around. Yeah, you might have value in the marketplace, but God is the one who gave you value, who gave you purpose before you even stepped on to the court. And he's the one who will sustain you when you leave the game. So when it comes to credibility, yeah, degrees will open up stuff, your name, the way that you handle information, the way that you present yourself. But at the end of the day, we come from that place of purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point about credibility and how it starts right now, right? Your character and who you are right now today starts to open those doors. And there was a mentor of mine who told me that every day is an interview. And so if you approach life like that, like every day is an interview, those start to build and stack and wins are in your favor.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. What do you think? We got a lot of prizes here. Should we
got a lot of
break in
stuff
the action here?
We got a lot of stuff, man.
You got more trivia? Or
shoot, man. Let me see here.
Or another way, there's some cool shirts.
I'll think of some stuff. All
right.
Yeah. Any questions real quick? Any questions? Do not be shy. I want you all to ask questions because, yes, please.
How was it like working with the players in like the Dominican and like did you work with like any other Spanish league like the Mexico League or Puerto Rican league?
Yeah, I did a lot of. We go to Dominican like every year when I was working there, and it was cool. You have a situation where you have these athletes who are per capita have the most talent when it comes to baseball in any country, right? And it's one of those things where the barrier is like it's background and it's language, right? That's the barrier. But the thing about it, I've seen two people who don't even speak the same language get along like they've known each other their whole lives. Because love is universal, bro. It's universal. Like if you show love and you receive love and you show that you care and the other person's reciprocating, I've seen two people like cavemen trying to communicate with each other for hours and they're getting along just fine. And they don't even speak the same language. And so to that question, man, there's so many good people, man, that I know I'm still friends with that are from the DR, from Latin America. The way they approach things is very differently. I actually did my dissertation on the difference between Spanish and English speakers as it relates to mental toughness. Just found out a lot of good stuff about that. But at the end of the day, people are people. Our cultures, our skin colors, our hues, our heritages are different, but we all are similar, right? We all have something that God has deposited in each and every one of us, right? Like you have gifts, talents, and abilities that he doesn't have, and vice versa, right? That to me is like how big God is. Is God has deposited in all. How many people are on this earth right now? Is it 8 billion? Is it 8 billion? Who knows? Anybody? Go. I think it's something like 7 or 8 billion, right? God is so big that he has deposited in each person in the world a set of gifts, talents, and abilities that no one else has. That's huge, bro. And that's the way I look at people. So when you ask, man, that's what I think of, man. I love those cats out there, and very great experience.
Cool. Yeah, I think keep thinking of questions to ask. I do want to make sure I get through all of these ones, and then we'll get to anybody else's. So, what do you think is the number one problem you see in athletes today?
Ooh,
number one
loaded.
I know you got a lot.
Loaded.
There's a lot of problems out there.
I don't know what the number one problem is, but one thing I will say is this. In my dealings with athletes, I see certain topics that come up over and over and over and over and over again. Confidence is a big one. Imposter syndrome is a big one. Perfectionism is a big one. Focus is another big one. Finding flow, right? Being in a flow state, being able to play in the zone is a big one. So I see all kinds of issues that stem from those areas that we can talk about that stuff for years, bro. Confidence is the level of certainty that you have in someone or something. The higher my level of certainty, the more confident that I am. If I didn't study for that algebra test and now it's the morning before, my level of certainty is going to be low. But if I've been putting in the work for the last 2 weeks, getting tutors, doing my work, doing my assignment, my level of certainty is going to be high. If I've been watching game film on my opponent for the last 2 weeks and now all of a sudden we get to play him, my level of certainty is going to be high. So that's the key word right there. I love it. One more. Prepared. Now, y'all are smart, college educated, right? There was only really one thing that I did between these three people. Actually, there was probably two things. But these are three different experiences. Same person. But there was only really two things that I did. Who can give me one of them?
Body language.
Yeah, be more specific.
Like do eye contact, the way you carry like your shoulders, like how like pump up your chest. Like,
Exactly. Guys, when I started over here, my head did one of three things. I either came in like this, I either came in like this, or I came in like this, right? And then my eye contact, I didn't look down on anybody, right? I was like the third guy, I mean, yeah, it was just like, oh, snappy, right? This is all that I did. That's the only thing that I did. I said the same exact thing. If you guys are writing notes, write this down. Write down, some of you guys have already seen this, Dr. Amy Cuddy, Cuddy, Harvard psychologist. She has a TED Talk that's awesome. I've been promoting her stuff for years. It's called, she talks about presence and it's about body language. Did you guys know that your resting levels of testosterone, right? And this is in both males and females. We know that females have lower levels of testosterone, but your resting levels of testosterone are and can be dictated by your body language. Those individuals who have big, expansive, confident, certain body language, their levels of testosterone are actually higher. Their resting levels of testosterone are actually higher. Those who have kyphotic, closed off, small body language and bad posture have lower levels. Testosterone, as we know, is the hormone that is associated with power, vitality, strength, confidence. How many of you guys want that in your sport? Raise your hand. We all do. One of the things I absolutely love is I love going onto TV, turning the volume down, and I can tell who's winning and who's losing by just looking at body language. All I did was a couple of things, and look at all the different experiences that we're having. Some of you are doing this knowingly and unknowingly, and it's affecting your performance. Okay? So body language, we're gonna blow through these next ones because this is one of the most important ones. Everybody say environment. This is how you build confidence in real time. Environment. Stop gossiping. Stop being sarcastic. Stop being negative, right? Stop, you know what I'm saying, like talking about stuff that doesn't matter. When you're in a clubhouse, when you're in a dugout, when you're in a sideline and people start talking nonsense, right? Everybody say change the subject. Say it again, change the subject. You can change the subject, right? Instead of talking crap about our coach, hey man, how about them Cowboys? You know what I'm saying? Any Steelers fans in here? Any Steelers fans in here? Pittsburgh Steelers fans? No? Dang, man. Any Patriots fans in here? Okay, make sure that he does not pass your class, okay? I'm just telling you that right now. Environment. Your spatial awareness, your body language, the way that you make eye contact, the way that you handle yourself, what you say is very important, and it changes confidence. A, everybody say affirmations. A lot of people, when they hear the word affirmations, they think, oh, yeah, you can do it. Yes. Okay, yeah, come on, Johnny. Let's go. Right? It's corny, bruh. Okay? And I'm here to take the corniness out of it. What is an affirmation? An affirmation is a short, quick, powerful, truthful statement that you make about yourself to yourself. What is an affirmation? It's a short, quick, powerful statement that you make about yourself to yourself. I'm prepared. I can do this. I'm the head and not the tail. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I'll be like a tree planted by the rivers of water whose leaf shall not wither but will bear fruit in due season. I'll meditate on the word of God day and night. I got this. This is my time. What's an affirmation? It's a short, powerful, quick statement that you make about yourself to yourself. That's what it is. Can you imagine being a warrior, right? Mom, dad, children are gone, and you have to fight with all of these dudes, and you have to come back alive to your family. And the only thing that you got is this. That's why I love David in the Bible. He said, I will encourage myself in the Lord. Out there on those hills by himself, just him and God, dude, and his harp, tending sheep. I will encourage myself in the Lord. Short, quick, powerful statement that you make about yourself to yourself. I'm going to take it a step further. Can I give you all some science real quick? Yes. For 15 seconds?
Yes.
Your auditory system is directly linked to your limbic system. Your limbic system is responsible for human behavior and human responses. When you say something, right, you are having a direct impact on your performance. Besides God, your voice is the most powerful voice that you will ever hear in this lifetime. So if you're telling yourself, I suck, I can't do this, why bother? Your body's going to do the same thing. That's facts. Performance is the last thing in the chain of events. Think, say, do. Whatever you think, you're eventually going to say, and whatever you say, you're eventually going to do. And that's why this is so powerful. What is visualization? It's seeing things in your mind's eye before they happen. And it can also be reviewing past events that have already happened. Research has shown that when an individual couples visualization with actual sport-specific tasks, that their confidence rises and their performance rises. How many of you guys know who Steve Nash is? Two-time NBA MVP. When he first came into the league, the dude was not good. He was not good. Home team used to boo him all the time when he touched the basketball. When he went to the free throw line, he started doing a routine, and he said, you know what? I used to shoot 5 to 6 free throws from the line. You're a hooper. Is there a 5 to 6 point play in basketball? No. Huh? No, there's not. But you know what Steve Nash used to do? He would get that ball. You go and you Google, you YouTube him. He would do this. Right or wrong, he would do this 2 or 3 times before he got that basketball from the referee, right or wrong?
That's right.
This is visualization right here. He would do that 3 times, and then he would get the basketball, and then he would shoot. End up a secure 90% plus free throw shooter. Visualization. How many of you guys are baseball players? Raise your hand. Where are my baseball players at? Yeah. When you're on deck and you guys see guys on deck and they're doing this, timing up with the pitcher, that's a form of visualization. Anybody boxers in here? Wrestlers, I know I got one. Any more wrestlers? When you see a shadow boxer doing this, or you see a boxer doing that, that's visualization. Shadow boxing, that's visualization. You guys do it all the sport. You guys do it in every single sport. Every sport. This is a very powerful skill. Okay? Now, last one. Everybody say T, triumphs. Triumphs. One of the Albert Bandura, famed psychologist, he said this. He said one of the biggest pools of which you can draw confidence from is what he calls performance accomplishments. Performance accomplishments are another word for triumphs. What have you done well in the past? Okay? What have you done well in the past? There's a reason why before every competitive season that businesses, organizations, teams, they like to show highlight reels. right? What do you guys think is going on with the morale of the team when you see highlight reels and everybody's in that highlight reel? What's going on in the morale of the room? It's rising, right? Like, oh man, look at Johnny, man. He's he dunked on. Oh, that's what's happening. The morale is rising. The areas in which you've done well in the past, you just got to go back and remember that. And that's going to improve your level of confidence. How many of you all have heard of the word nostalgia real quick, and then we'll get back to the questions? Anybody, we all heard that word, right? Did you know that the phenomenon of nostalgia, what happens when you are going through a nostalgic experience, did you know that your blood pressure drops? Your heart rate drops? Your body actually becomes warmer? Have you guys ever been on your phone and you got the memory? Oh, here's a memory from 2010, right? Like, oh man, look at us, we look so young, right? And then what happens? What happens after 5-10 minutes? We're doing this. 10 minutes later, hold on, dog, hold on, I'll be right there. We sliding, you know what I'm saying, right? Because we like the way that we feel. We like bringing up those good memories, and that plays right into triumphs. And this builds confidence. It builds that level of certainty. I've seen this team before, and I played well against them before. I'm going to do it again. I've seen a team like this before with a big 7-foot dude or a guy who throws gas. I'm going to do it again. This is real. These are real-time ways in real-time, real space in which to build confidence. Anybody have any questions? Questions? Awesome.
Beast system. Love it. Powerful stuff right there. First time I've heard it, you explain it like that, so very good. Ready for a loaded question? I kind of like loaded questions. You go wherever you want with it.
Loaded.
So loaded. Here we go. So what's something you can tell these students that would help them to level up physically, mentally, and spiritually? What's something you could tell them?
Level up.
Level up physically, mentally, and spiritually. The wholesome approach.
Spiritually. Let's start with spiritual. Take your relationship with God to another level. Get into your word. It's hard to read the Bible, dude. It's hard, bro. It's hard sometimes. Because that when you start reading your Bible, you're attempting to get closer to God. That's what's happening. When you seek to go to church and be in fellowship, you're attempting to get closer to God. Right? And guess what? We have an enemy who roams around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. And that devouring comes in all forms and shapes. Distractions, bad relationships, social media, behaviors, thoughts, right? That devil don't want you to get anywhere close to God. You want to level up, you got to fight. You got to fight pressure with pressure. I was a defensive back, and my coach, Phil Snow, he said, hey, anytime you're playing man defense, right? He said, when you got that receiver running downfield and he's leaning into you, fight pressure with pressure. Because when a receiver leans into you, right, he's telling you where he's going. Wide receivers don't like contact. They want a free release. And so the last thing that they want is for a defensive back to be all over them. That's the last thing they want. So when you, come here, Trevor. So you're going to run, come here. So you're a DB or you're a receiver. Trevor's a receiver. You're gonna run a post. So I want you to just run up here. Give me a little stick, and then just burn me for a touchdown. Okay? I want you to do that. Right? This is what we teach. So I'm the defender, right? So Trevor's running. So I'm going with him, and what I want to do is I want to fight pressure with pressure. See, he's coming into me. He's telling me where he's gonna go. If I just say, "Oh man, he's so strong. Oh man, he wants to go that way," right? I've lost, but come here again. But when I see where he's going as a defensive back, he's going, boom, I want to fight pressure. Oh, you're going that way, bro? Okay, I'm going this way too. And then I can look, pick. Give coach a hand. Give coach a hand. Give coach a hand. There was no way I was going to let you catch that ball anyway. Okay? Some of us need to fight pressure with pressure. God is calling you to a closer relationship. Right? And the more, how many of y'all, can we be honest with each other real quick? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes.
How many of you all, when you attempt to get closer to God, it's almost like things get worse? Raise your hand. Or it becomes harder. You want me to tell you why? Because there is a spiritual battle going on as well. That is why. That is why. This right here, the reason I'm in this classroom is because of what I'm telling you about. The reason why I'm here talking to you today is because of what I'm talking about. I had to fight pressure with pressure. He had to fight pressure with pressure. He wasn't even in a loving relationship with God when I met him. Yes or no? There's a spiritual battle as well. This information shouldn't be shared with you guys. The devil don't want me talking to you guys about this because it's facts. He wants to keep us blind. So leveling up spiritually, what I would say is hey, man, take your relationship with God seriously. Get into that word. Get into church. Get into fellowship. In terms of physically, stop just doing sets and reps, dude. Stop. I can have 5 athletes doing the same. I was a strength coach. Okay, I've seen this firsthand for years, so I know what the heck I'm talking about. I can have 5 athletes lined up doing the same workout, and one of them will excel. 2 of them will excel. 2 of them will stay the same. One of them will get worse. Same workout, same genetic potential. And the reason why these 2 excel is because they're putting intentionality into those sets and reps. They're putting their heart into those sets and reps. They're focused on those sets and reps. They understand what's going to happen when I do those sets and reps. They're going in with attack mode on those sets and reps. I'm going to ask you guys a question. We talk about physical, right? I'm going to ask you guys a question. Not a trick question. Why do we lift weights? Anybody, raise your hand. Talk. Why do we lift weights?
To get stronger.
Okay. Anybody else want to add to that? Good answer. Why do we? Yeah.
Healthier.
To be healthier. Yes. Go ahead. Healthy. Anybody else? Get stronger, healthier. What else? Why else do we lift?
Get better.
To get better. Why else? Yes.
Tear muscles.
Tear muscles. Tear muscles, get better, be healthier, be stronger. Anybody else? One more. Why do we lift? Explosiveness. Okay, I love the answers. I'm going to tell you another answer. You lift weights so that you can overcome. That's why you lift weights. Any form of training requires discomfort. You have to invest in yourself. You are your worst. You are going to be your toughest critic, and you are going to be your hardest opponent. I tell my athletes that I work with all the time, your job is to beat the old version of yourself every single time. I'm supposed to outdo the old version of myself every single time. Each and every one of you right now, 95% of all of your decisions are subconscious. Your wiring is subconscious. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be better. 90% of New Year's resolutions fail. 80 plus or minus percentage of all gym memberships go unused. Why? Because we don't know how to follow through. Right? You have to be in the business of beating the old you every single time. That's gonna be your worst opponent. Your hardest opponent, you're gonna be yourself. So that's what I would say, man. Draw closer to God, right? Make sure that you're investing in yourself, and make sure that you're taking your training seriously with intentionality, because it's not just sets and reps, man. Training isn't just sets and reps. Yeah. It's what it's doing for me, right? C.T. Fletcher, anybody know who C.T. Fletcher is? Big black dude on social media. And I'll give you guys this. He said something, he goes, he starts clowning on these cats who are like, man, I don't want to eat these greens and these vegetables. They taste nasty, right? And he used some language, but he said, man, you ain't eating it for what it tastes like. Expletive, expletive, expletive. You eating it for what it's going to do for you. And that's what I'm talking about. You got to be intentional. It's not just what you're doing, it's the heart that you're putting behind it.
That's really good. It's even the way, you walk into a room like you were doing earlier, you have a purpose behind it. There's an intent behind it. The way you walk through the world, if you know where you're going, you're gonna be walking through it with confidence. And so the weight lifting approach to that is really huge too.
Yeah, to your point, there's an old African proverb. It says that when a man knows where he's going, everybody has to get out of the way.
Last class, we were talking about vision and mission statements of organizations, and got into even helping them start to think about a vision or mission statement for their lives, for themselves. Do you have a vision and mission statement? If so, what is it? Tell us a little bit about it.
So it's pretty much what I shared with you earlier, right? So my mission is to train athletes physically, to encourage them spiritually, and to challenge them mentally, When I graduated from college, that's what I knew I was going to do. I was going to train athletes physically. I do that to this day, right? I've trained MLB players. I've trained NFL Super Bowl champions. I've trained elite level athletes, youth athletes. I train them physically. I want to challenge them mentally. This is part of what I'm doing here today, right? And then to encourage them spiritually, which is part of what I did today. And so it's one of those things where, I've seen both sides of the spectrum. I've been a prison chaplain where you go into the prisons and you take everything off. You take your watch off, you take your phone, no phone, right? And if there's a fight, you're in there. You're locked in with the inmates, right? Talk about scary, right? Talk about people who have zero hope, no hope. And I'm in there with these guys. And then I've been in meeting rooms with multimillionaires who have guaranteed contracts. And even if they were to get cut, released, sent back home by their respective teams, they would be having multi-millions in the bank with not a care in the world, playing a child's game, right? And at the end of the day, like, my mission is to encourage each and every one of those people along that spectrum. And I hope that you guys were encouraged today. Because one of the things that I absolutely believe in, and I hope that it came out today, is that God has a plan for each and every one of you. Each and every one of you have gifts, talents, abilities that are special. And how we make God smile is what we're doing with those gifts, talents, and abilities. And in that purpose, right, not only are you going to find provision, you're going to be able to make a living for you and your family, right? But you're going to be able to impact people, right? And when you're living in your purpose, it's a very powerful place to be. And that's where you have, like, people say, oh, you're living your best life. That's how we make God smile, is when we live in our purpose.
Last question before I open it up to any questions you guys have. What's on the horizon for you? You've accomplished a lot to this point, but something tells me you're just getting started. So,
hey man, we ain't never stopping, man. Right? We're never gonna stop, bro. We're never gonna stop, man. Like for me, I'm at a point in my life where I'm seeing a lot of full circle events right now, right? Dude, this is what 2010, 11, man. Like he was an athlete that I used to train, and I'm seeing a lot of guys like him. They're coming up through the ranks. They're doing big things, right? And so for me, I'm about collaboration and mentorship. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have 50% of a watermelon than 100% of a grape. You know what I'm saying? And God made us for community to collaborate. There are certain things, man, that he can do that I can't do. There's certain things that you can do that I can't do. But when we come together, we can build something great, right? It's awesome. So for me, I see that on the horizon, just a lot of collaborations and just helping people and creating things, man, creating big things. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's give it up for Josiah, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you.